All right, if I've done everything correctly, I should be live right now. So let me just check on that, see if that's working, and then we can go from there. Give me just a few minutes to make sure everything is set up. All right, let's see. Sorry, y'all, this is my first stream. If you are watching the VOD of this, feel free to just hike it right back. Skip forward, whatever you want. Sorry, let me just grab chat. Hopefully the music isn't too loud. If anyone pops in and thinks the music is too loud, please let me know, because I've never done this. All right, I think I've grabbed chat, so let me try and throw that on screen. I know that nobody's here right now, but it should be nice to see just in general. Let's see, I want browser. Cool. That works. That works for now. Eventually it'll get better, but you know. So, today we are just doing a cute little, chill little stream. It's right about 2 o'clock today where I am. I live on the East Coast. I believe I've said that before. That's not anything new. That's not doxing, but yes, so today we're just going to be doing a little bit of a get to know me stream. It's my first stream ever, so that's very exciting for me. Let's see, what else? I just finished my first year of university. I guess I should do a little bit of an introduction if you've never been on this channel before. If you're new, totally new, hi. I'm Bryn. I have previously run an international baccalaureate educational channel here on YouTube. Some of the videos have garnered a decent amount of views, and just otherwise people seem to have appreciated the content. Fun fact, fun story, a lot of people thought I was a teacher. Definitely not a teacher. Definitely have never been a teacher. I was actually a senior in high school when those videos were produced by me. I did them all. I don't know why I said that they were produced. And the truth of it is really that, like, I went through a really bad year in terms of like what the schooling was like, and so it was really difficult for me to like learn and teach myself. And so, you know, I'm just kind of doing it on my own. Yeah, let's see. Hi! Oh yeah, Devin, good luck with your IB history exam. What unit are you doing that exam on? My IB history was honestly awful. If you watched the video where I kind of talked about my IB scores, which, not saying that you have to, but I explained it a little bit there, but basically I did History HL, History of the Americas. My teacher didn't teach us anything for the first year because we were virtual, and so he just decided that he didn't need to follow the curriculum. And then he didn't start teaching about the actual content for the course until the second semester of the school year. And so I really picked up all of the history that I learned on my own. But if you're still around, feel free to say hey. This is the first stream, so I'm still getting used to everything. OBS is still pretty new to me, but that's okay. But yeah, I started making videos because I wanted some way to learn better. And for me, I learn best when I'm teaching someone else. And this is something I've carried over into college, is that I'm always teaching my friends my coursework, and because it helps me learn a little bit better. You're doing paper 1 and paper 2? Paper 1 is about the expansions, and paper 2 is about the Spanish Civil War and the Chinese Civil War. Okay, so I did Spanish Civil War, but I didn't do Chinese Civil War. I wish that I had gotten a choice with my topics, because I think I would have had a lot more fun doing something like the Chinese Civil War than like whatever I ended up doing it on. It wasn't enjoyable, man. It wasn't it. But that's all right. It's over. when I took my exams, you're going to be just fine. I was a hot mess. It was like I got sick with COVID. Oh man, it was bad. But good luck on your IB history exam. If you have any questions, I might be able to answer them if I remember the answers to your questions. No guarantees. I actually, because I did history HL and I did so well, I don't have to take any history classes in college, which is really exciting. So what I'm doing instead is the only history S class I took was art history for Japanese, and that's one of my majors. So it was actually an enjoyable experience instead of, I considered my history class kind of unbearable because it was so self-taught, right? But that's all right. But yeah, so in high school, I did, in my freshman year, so my first year, I did AP Environmental Science, AP US Government, and then my next year, I did AP Spanish 5, I think, AP Economics, macro, I don't remember, something economics, and I did AP World History. And then in junior year, I did all of my IB stuff and AP Calc, and then in my senior year, it was all IB. Let's see, I love studying the Chinese Civil War, and thank you, I'll need the luck. Yeah, I would have enjoyed studying the Chinese Civil War, I think. I just struggled so much with like the Spanish and stuff. But like as soon as I started learning about Japan, like the Japanese history, it was so much easier to learn and understand for my brain. So I think there's definitely something to be said about enjoying the topic. And you can earn a lot of points by writing about what you enjoy, especially because with the history papers, you get such a big choice. Like you get a lot of choices on what you talk about. And so I think it's a little bit easier to kind of learn what you enjoy and then talk about that as opposed to things that you don't enjoy very much. That being said, there is a certain level of like lack of choice there, but that's all right. That's all right. You actually want to study Chinese studies in college? It's so exciting. Yeah, I'm double majoring in college in neuroscience and Japanese. So for Japanese, it's both the language and the culture. So a little bit similar there. I wish, I'm trying to get my friend to do Chinese studies in our college because she already knows Chinese. And so I think it would be really easy for her to get a minor, but she won't. But I'm doing Japanese just for funsies. Why not? It definitely it is nice to be able to learn about something that you enjoy. And I think that while history gave me a lot of my least favorite topics, just because I don't like history very much, it also gave me some of my favorite topics and some of the things I remember the most because I was so invested in the Japanese. Wow, that is insane. Neuroscience is super duper hard. Yeah, it's been a ride, I'll say that, but it hasn't been impossible yet. If it gets there, that would be interesting, but it hasn't gotten there yet. So I'm holding out hope that it might not. But yeah, so far, next semester, so the fall semester, I'll be taking my first neuroscience class. Up until this point, I've been doing kind of the preliminary biologies and chemistries, and then I'll move into the neuroscience starting this semester, which is really exciting. I'm really excited to get started. I have a friend who's a year above me in neuroscience, and she has said that she really enjoys it, and so I'm looking forward to it. But I also like to think about in terms of what's hard and what's not hard. I did IB and I self-taught IB to myself for the most part for almost all of my subjects. And I wrote thousands and thousands of words of papers in a short period of time. And you're doing that too if you're fully in IB. And so I think the perception of what is hard and what is easy, it gets a little skewed after you go through the whole international baccalaureate program, right? To a certain extent, everybody's gonna have a challenge writing. Everybody's gonna have a challenge, you're gonna have challenges, but the fact that I could write 2,000 words in one sitting in a day, because I've had to do that and go back and edit it, it made it a lot easier to take classes in college. So I think there's something to be said for the amount that you're helped by your IB studies. It definitely changes your perception of what's hard and what's not. When I'd go and I'd sit down, I'd be like, wow, that was really easy. And my classmates are like, what is going on with you? Very cool, very cool. And yeah, IB is difficult, although I kind of prefer the essay writing stuff. I actually enjoyed the essay writing as well. It was difficult for me, especially like my biology was really difficult, and my my TOK writings were usually very difficult, but I did enjoy them for the most part. What did I write for the history IA? So my history IA, I did the effects of prohibition on the US economy. And I originally wasn't going to do that. Because you can do anything, I was originally going to do what was the influence of the Dutch, what was the influence of like the Dutch in like traders during the closed period for Japan. The issue with doing something like that is that all the sources are in Japanese. And so I didn't do that. I don't know how I even landed on the topic that I ended up doing. I kind of was like, well, I guess prohibition's kind of interesting. And I guess I kind of am curious, like, alcohol makes so much money. What did we do without it? And so that's kind of where it started. But then it ended up going a little bit, like, off the rails. And, like, I started talking about, like, how, like, reintroducing alcohol, like, it was like, I went off the rails. I got a really good score on it, though, so it paid off. Super cool and understandable for a bunch of sources in another language. Yeah, I am a little bit disappointed that I didn't like try and stick it out, but at the same time, like with the amount of Japanese I have now, I still struggle with like reading sources and stuff, and I can't even imagine having to look at historical documents. So it evens itself out, right? But like, yeah, with my history, I just kind of went off the rails. It was really bad. It was really bad, but it got a really good score. I also finished way before the other students in my class. My teacher gave us way too much time, and I like had my first draft done in like 2 weeks, and everybody else was like a month into it, still struggling with their first draft, and I was like, are we ever gonna learn anything? And so then we kind of didn't, but that's all right. It worked out. It's almost comical for me to talk about IB now, just because I'm kind of a little bit removed from it after having a year away. Your history IA is the influence of male homosexuality on the political science during the Han Dynasty. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You're talking my language. Okay. This is gonna be like such an obscure reference, but have you ever heard of Danme? Or like the ancient wuxia, shensha kind of beat with like the homosexual kind of relationships? You might not know what I'm talking about, and you might think I'm crazy, and that's totally okay. Yes! Oh my god. Oh, you are talking my language, dude. I'm obsessed with that. It's like actually disgusting of me. I don't even have anything I can pull from right next to me because I'm using my books to prop up my webcam, but that's what influenced your IA? Oh my god, that's so good! Dude, that's the best. No, my friends and I... Don't let that get away from you. Okay, don't let that escape you, because that will be like, when you find people that are into it as much as you are, bro, that's the best. My first love has always been TGCF. It's always been my child, my baby, my love. But I like really got into Golden Stage too. Like I've been pretty deep, but I met my my college friends because they never will. I've been a diehard fan for the last 2 years. Me too. I actually picked up TGCF. I watched the Donghua. I watched the Donghua in April of 2021, and so it's been over 2 years for me now as well. SBSSS is so good. I was so like not prepared to watch SBSSS, and then. Or to read or watch. Watching it was like an experience. That was out of body for me. Reading SBSSS, I couldn't stop laughing. I was actually dying. I like didn't want to do it too. I was so apprehensive. And then when I finally did it, it was like the best. Arha. Oh, I'm reading Arha right now. Don't spoil me. I picked up the English volume, the second one. I've gotten all the way through the first English volume, and I'm about halfway. Actually, I think I'm exactly halfway through the second volume. I've been trying to read it like at night because when I was at school, I didn't have the time, and so I would only try and read it when I tried to read it when it was sunny outside. But the problem was that it was never really sunny outside, and so I never went outside to read it. And now I'm only halfway through, so I'm still like I'm still trying to get through Arha, but I've been wanting to read it and it's been really good. I'm at the part where they're like, I don't even know if I can describe it. Arha's a ride. They're in the vision right now, and Shu Wanning is still a kid, and he just realized that he has like the scar. Okay, that's good. I'm not gonna spoil anything more. It's been a really, really enjoyable experience reading that. You're about 2/3 of the way through. Yeah. Yeah, let's see, what have I read that's like a little bit more out there? The Heart of a Smith, I read the first semester of college. I'm such a slow reader. Okay, this is my weakness. I'm such a slow reader. Like, it's really bad. It's really bad of me that I like can't get through books fast enough as I want to. I have a friend from college who reads Dame, like 600 chapter Dame, in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, girl, huh? And so it's like the two best friends, always one of them got to be a fast reader, always one of them got to be a slow reader. And I get through books so slowly. But I read Heart of a Smith for my first semester. And then I started picking up Arha for the second semester, and I just haven't made it through very far. But I'm reading Arha, and I'm rereading the English volumes from Moldau and TGCF as they come out. I'm so excited for Guardian to come out. I have a special spot in my heart for Guardian. We watched the drama, and I loved it. It was so good. If you haven't watched Guardian or like gotten into Guardian, I recommend it. It was there. It was there for me, you know? And so it was really good. But yes, Guardian, banger. Global University Entrance Examination. I feel like they changed the name and I didn't realize that they changed the name to like Entrance Examination or Global Examination or something stupid, but Global University Entrance Examination. Oh, that was like the second or third one I read too. It was so good. You're one of those fast readers? You binged all of SVSSS in 2 days? Okay, definitely watch Guardian. Definitely watch Guardian. It was so good. I was so proud of myself that I read the first English volume of SV in 1 day. It was like a snow day in high school, and I was like, I'm gonna read the first volume. And I read it in 1 day, and I was like, I'm such a fast reader. And it was the only thing I did all day. It was bad. But yeah, I really, really recommend Guardian. I think it gets overlooked. Word of Honor is still my beloved C-drama, my beloved Dalmain C-drama, but ooh, I can get down with some Guardian any day. It was so good. I will say, the last like 3 episodes were like kind of chaos. Word of Honor, yes! Word of Honor is so good. And then Faraway Wanderers, which is like the book it's based off of, right? It's also so good. Like, they both had my heart. I love them. I made my friends watch that one. Wayne Cushing is the best! Oh my god. Gong Joon is also the best. Gong Joon, who played Wayne Cushing, oh, you better believe it. You better believe it. Oh, I love that show. I watched that so hard. So hard. It was so good. So good. I've watched it twice now. I didn't cry the second time. I'm so proud of myself. But I did cry the first time. I cried a lot. But it was so good. Yes, Word of Honor is my beloved. I have beef with The Untamed. I think they changed too much of the plot of The Untamed. You even got your grandmother to watch it? You are braver than I am. I would never. I got my college friend to watch it and I was like, this is pretty brave of me. This is pretty brave. But you got your grandmother? Oh my gosh, you're one of those crazy people. Did she like it? Now I'm interested. She really liked it. Wow. That's so good. I'm so glad for you. Yeah. It just holds such a place in my heart. Word of Honor. Word of Honor got me through senior year. Word of Honor got me through senior year. You couldn't finish it because you had to leave. Oh, that's sad. How far about did you get into it with your grandmother? I assumed you watched it on your own and then showed your grandmother. Otherwise, you're really brave. "25 episodes. Okay, that's like most of the way through though. That's a good chunk done. As long as you get through the like Heroes Conference the first time, then I think you're like more than a good of the way through. I refuse to rewatch the Hero Conference episode though. I hate that episode. Worst episode. I love that show too, and that was just an awful episode. You watched it on your own in the span of a week. Wow. Oh my gosh. Is that the only thing you did all week, or like what? Because it's not a short show. It's like what, 32, 37 episodes, somewhere in there. And it's like long episodes too. I think I took a lot longer than a week. If I remember correctly, I would watch like one episode before I went to bed, and it took me at least a month, I guess. And then I would watch it in school too. When I wasn't doing work. I watched a lot of shows in school in my senior year because I had a lot of free periods. So it worked out. But yeah, I think I watched it during winter break with nothing to do before IB, so I actually had time to watch it. So fair of you. When I was in like my IB crunch time, I would go to bed at like 9 or 9:30, and I remember staying up until like midnight watching the last few episodes and just bawling my eyes out. Oh, that was such a core memory for me too. And now in college, my friends and I watched it together, and it's like three of us. We'd go knock on my friend's room. Let's watch another episode, but it's 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. Another episode. And so we got through it pretty fast. I think it took us like 2 months, but with all of us having like coursework and tests and whatever, to coordinate that, to get it done in 2 months was pretty impressive, I thought. I was pretty happy with it. And my friends really enjoyed it. I mean, how could you not enjoy it? It's got such a good plot and such good characters. And Chungling is like my little baby angel, and he's so stupid. I saw a tweet that, oh my God, this tweet set me railing. It was like, somehow they managed to trap each other with a child that's not biologically either of theirs. And I was like, that's so good of them. I'm so proud. I wish none of my friends liked Dame like I do. In high school, none of my friends liked Dame like I do. And then in college, I brought all the English volumes to the college, and I would like mention it once or twice, and then my friends would come in my room and they're like, I know that series. And I'm like, you know that series? Yes, Chungling is the best tiny boy. Yeah, he's so stupid. I just think about him trying to kill the chicken and I just die. He's so dumb. He's so dumb, and I love him. But that's all right, you know? He's allowed to be a little stupid. He's allowed to be a little stupid. We love him for that. Let's see, what else? Global University entrance examination. They're supposed to be making a drama. God knows it's never going to happen, but we can hope. We can dream. TGCF, they're supposed to be making a drama. Never gonna happen. I mean, they filmed it. It's just never gonna get put out into the world, right? Like, that's never seeing the light of day. I was like up to date as they were filming that. Like, I was like checking my phone like obsessively. Yeah, that's never gonna see the light of day. But that's all right. We can hope. We can dream. It's okay. But oh yeah. Finding Dame fans is a difficult task on its own. I know. It really is. It's like you have to get lucky. Hey, thank you very much for your IB history notes. They helped me a lot this May. I'm more of an AA Math HL Physics type of guy, so this was pretty much all I did for the history prep. Wow, thank you. I'm so glad that it was helpful to you. Yeah, I didn't get a choice in what kind of science I took or what kind of math I took. But I'm glad that my history prep was helpful for you. Arha Dame collecting dust as always. No, oh my God. I think about that end scene that they filmed for Arha so often. If you, Artem, welcome in. We're just kind of chit-chatting. I know I put in the title, I think that I'm drawing. I have that set up. I'll get to it eventually, probably, maybe. We're kind of talking about, if you know what dame is, it is ancient. Well, it's not always ancient. It's Chinese BL basically. And it is kind of my true love and the thing that gets me through life. But I appreciate you popping in and thanking me for my notes. I'm so glad that they were helpful to you. They were actually very helpful for me when I was studying. That was the reason I made the videos. So where was I? Yes, Global University Entrance Examination, banger. Modal, banger. I like hit a bunch of bangers when I first started, and that helped me a lot, like get into dame, because I read TGCF in like 2 weeks, which again, we've established, slowest reader on the planet. It's actually abysmal. So I finished it in like 2 weeks, which was insane, especially because I finished it in 2 weeks while I was taking AP Calculus. Huh? How did I do that? I don't know, but I did, and I'm so glad that I did because that was so worth it. It was so worth it. And so I finished TGCF, and I don't remember if I read, I know exactly what I did. Then I read Global University because I Googled top dame and it came up as the first one, so I read it next. And then I read Moldau. So I had like 3 bangers right in a row. Yeah, I really recommend TGCF. I don't think it has the same amount of humor that SPSS does, but I think what it lacks in that like off the wall kind of humor, it makes up for in just like the most pure relationship that you ever could have imagined. And the plot is crazy. The plot's insane. Like, actually off the wall. Actually, I love it so much. It's my true love. It's my favorite. I read it first. That might have something to do with why I love it so much, but you know, it's still my favorite. Doesn't matter if it came first or last. After Moldau, I don't even remember what I read next. It might have been... No, it wouldn't have been Golden Stage, would it? I don't know, but I recommend Golden Stage. It's like a military plot. Golden Stage is like military, but like I don't like military stuff. That's not my cup of tea. And I still read it, and it was like I'd never been so invested in like military, like war type plot ever. And it was so good. Yeah, I'm always hearing about the plot from a bunch of people on social media. Yeah, the plot's insane for TGCF. It's really good. It's just like wild, and there's so much trauma involved, and I was traumatized involved. No, I'm just kidding. But it was like, it was so good. And it just like was so different from anything in the Western world that I had ever read. And so when I read it and I was like, wow, this is insane. It really like hooked me onto the genre because I was like, great plot, great relationships. They're adorable together. All of the characters are so fleshed out. And so it was like these things I feel like we don't get as much in like English based or English originating works. And so it was a really good thing to get me into it. I also read Thousand Autumns. I didn't love it. I did not love Thousand Autumns. And I might get hate crimed for saying that. And that's all right. I read it in like over the course of many months. And so that might have something to do with it. But yeah, it was just like, I didn't love the characters. I think part of the issue is that it was really, really slow burn. And I can't do it. I can't do slow burn. I can't read 300 chapters and the characters like only hate each other. It's so hard. And so I'm like a little bit of a baby like that. But MDCS was definitely the series that hooked me because I watched The Untamed. Yeah, I was saying that actually. I started talking about The Untamed and then I got distracted. Shocker. The Untamed, I have beef with The Untamed. I watched it and I was like, they just changed so much of the plot from the book. Like, okay. My biggest issue was that they made Jiang Cheng get in a relationship or like have like this like romantic air with Wen Qing. I was like, for what, girl? For what? They were fine on their own. Just because we're losing the romantic relationship of the main two characters doesn't mean we need to pull some random people up and say that they need to date. That's not... But they did. That is something that they did. And it made me sad. I feel so uneducated because I haven't got a clue what these names and abbreviations actually mean. Oh, I'm so sorry. I should be a little bit more clear. Okay, so MDCS is what we're talking about right now, and it is a book. It stands for, yeah, literally, if you go on Twitter, on Dame Twitter, It's like you're reading alphabet soup because nobody talks in any sort of long form words. So MDZS stands for Modalzushu, and Modalzushu, the English for that is the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. This series of books was written by a Chinese author called MXTX or Mo Xiang Tongshu, and they have been published into physical copybooks in English, and actually Moldau, or MDZS, Moldau, whatever, just finished publishing like last month. So that one just finished, but they're basically like this genre of books that are all encompassed in the sphere of what is known as dame. And dame kind of, the best way I can explain it is if you know what BL is, or boys love, it's kind of like boys love, but if the whole purpose was to make it aesthetic and having to do with a plot. Yeah, it's an art form understanding all the abbreviations, especially when you go on and like Wei Wuxian is WWX, WY, and YLL, Yiling Nazel. And so it can get confusing, and it's definitely like there's a learning curve, but I recommend it. If you like boys love, or you like really strong plot, or you like people in Hanfu, or you like C-dramas, I recommend, and I always recommend if you want to get started into it, watch either the Heaven Official's Blessing, Donghua, which when I say Heaven Official's Blessing, I'm also talking about TGCF, which is also Tianguan Sifu. All of them encapsulated together. But the Donghua is basically the anime. It has one season and one special episode, so a total of about 13 episodes, I believe, 12 or 13 episodes, depending on where you watch it. Netflix, I believe, splits an episode where no one else does, but that's fine. That's not a big deal. But yeah, if you go in and you watch either the Heaven Official's Blessing, Donghua, anime, whatever you want to call it, that's a great in. Or if you are more of a drama person and less of an anime person, I recommend you go watch Word of Honor, and that's on Netflix as well. And that is like just crazy. The thing that I think, I know, I see your little funny face. It's insane. It's like, this is like a world to live in, let me tell you, but it's definitely like, there's a target audience for sure. But if you find yourself in that target audience, I think you'll be very happy. Supposedly season 2 of TGCF is in the works. Oh boy, do I know about this. No, it's so bad. So when they announced that they were going to do a season 2, I actually woke up at like 4 or 5 a.m. to watch the broadcast. And so I saw the teaser in real time. This is how much of an insane person I am. That was November of 2021, I believe. It must have been 2021 or 2020. One of the two. But yes, and then they just, like a few days ago for Hua Cheng's birthday, Hua Cheng is one of the characters, they released like 12 seconds new content, and I was like living my best life. Oh, I was so happy. But yeah, what got me into the whole thing in general was, yeah, the Donghua, the TGCF Donghua. No, I wish I could have seen it live. It was an experience. I was awake at like 4 or 5 a.m. It was some ridiculous time, alone, like crying. Crying because I watched 30 seconds of this thing that I just love so much. And it helps that they have one of my favorite scenes in season 2. And so that was a lot of the teaser trailer that they showed in that like November kind of like announcement. And so I was just living. But the thing about when you watch Chinese media, especially in dame, it's all censored. So none of the characters are allowed to date each other because it's homosexual relationships. But if you read the books, there's no censorship. There's actually like no censorship. And so it's interesting to both read and watch, because watching alone, you get the sense that these characters are deeply in love. But when you read, you know they're deeply in love, and then you go back and watch and it's somehow even more obvious. And so it's just like this little cycle. But yeah, I'm sorry to bring you into this conversation where it's just absolute craziness. And I hope that like you're not too terribly lost and you're just kind of rolling with it. Because it is a lot to take in, especially at first. Chinese censorship is the bane of dame lovers' existence. So true. It's the worst, but also, okay, we're gonna get on a topic, hold on. I think censorship is not all bad. I think that censorship and where it originates from and the fact that it exists at all is bad. That's not okay. We support gay people. LGBT, yay. We're allies. However, the way that Chinese media is forced to look at gay relationships and forced to portray gay relationships as a result of censorship makes those relationships more realistic, more in tune with the world, and more real in a sense. Because those characters are not allowed to do anything explicit. The producers and the directors put in a lot more subtlety that usually gets missed. And so while I think censorship is bad and I wish it didn't exist and I would be so happy if it wasn't there, I also think that it brings in like this kind of flavor that you don't get from like Western media where we don't have that kind of concern at all. And so I think it is a double-edged sword. But yeah, I just think sometimes like, imagine the power that like TGCF Donghua or like The Untamed would have if it didn't have to be censored. That would be insane. That's true as well because it does let the relationships have a different take on it and it just makes the relationships more dynamic. Yeah, because you are not allowed to say these characters are dating. They live together and they love each other and they can't say those words and they can't be that obvious. You are forced to like, look at that eye contact. Do you know how many conversations you have about eye contact in Western media? Not nearly as many as you have when you talk about word of honor. And you're like, wow, they pushed each other off a cliff. That's so romantic. It's like, it makes you look at these things in such a different way. And it's really exciting and really interesting. And I don't know, it's just a little bit of a different take. I think that it's not good. And I think that the world would be a better place if it wasn't there. And I think that a big issue that we're having with censorship right now is that it's not so much censorship of what the characters do in the show. It's censorship of the show making it out of production at all. So like you mentioned the Arha drama, Devin. And it's really hard for that to see the light of day because right now censorship is taking on such a different role than it had in the past. Likely because of one of the scandals of one of the actors in one of the dame dramas. It's kind of seen through the actions of the characters towards each other and how they help each other too. Yeah, it's a lot more like human connection, human relationship type beat rather than like explicit relationship. I'm gonna change the title of the stream because I'm not drawing. I'm not drawing right now. I got off topic really fast. Oh, it won't let me. All right, never mind. It can stay. It won't let me change it. Have I mentioned I don't know what I'm doing? It's fine. No, but I could talk about Dame, I feel like, forever, just because it holds such a special place in my heart, and it's so unique from anything that you see anywhere else. And I just think there's like something special about it in like the way that it portrays relationships. And I think the other part of it is like in Dame, the plot always takes precedence over the characters and like what they're going through. And so when you read a story, you're there for the plot and you're staying for the relationship. And it's not the other way around. It's not like you're just watching a relationship and there's a plot happening in the background. Like if you think about Modal Zushur, if you think about MDZS, you think, wow, the first line of the whole book, of any of the books, of the whole thing, is Wei Wuxian is dead. And you're like, that's the main character. And suddenly it's not about the romance. Suddenly you're there because this guy's dead and what the heck happened? And it's so exciting and it's so different and it's so quirky, fun, cute. Exactly the balance between relationship and plot is really just done so differently compared to Western media. It is incredibly different. And I think that's something really unique about the Chinese media in general, but especially Dame, especially Dame, because they're forced. I don't know if it's forced so much as like it's such a trademark thing in this like aesthetic sense of the beauty of relationships that they're kind of trying to make into what is Dame. The plot is so important, and the plot is usually absolutely out there. It's usually like the wildest thing you'll ever read, and somehow it's like all coherent and it makes sense, and it's just so interesting. And so I think it's just something that it's something really good for people to like experience at least once, because it is so different from Western media, and it is so different from like I think how some people in America perceive, at least in America, perhaps other places, how they perceive that it must be, that they perceive that shows and relationships must be this specific way, and it must be portrayed in a story in a specific way. And I think that once you kind of open your eyes to how things can be done differently, I think it makes us better consumers of media. Arha be one of those books with the weirdest plot, although it is done so good. It is definitely out there. It is more out there than any of the other. Well, I can't say that. It's out there, but I think that's not a bad thing because it's still coherently out there. Like the author's doing like cuckoo bananas things. We love you, but like it's crazy. But at the same time, like I'm with it. I'm here for it. It's good, you know? And so I think there's a balance to be struck, and I think that almost all of the time that balance is struck appropriately, except when it's slow burn. I can't handle slow burn. Slow burn hurts. Slow burn hurts. But, you know, that's a me problem. That's a me problem more than anything. But yeah. Dame has gotten me through some things. Dame has gotten me through some things in my life. It only gets better later in the novel after it gets complicated. Oh no. Maybe I'm not far enough in to see the light. Maybe I'm not far enough in. I'm only halfway through the second English volume. If it gets too crazy, I'm just not gonna know what's happening anymore, and I'll just be there like, oh no. Dame always starts so simple and then they get so complicated. Yeah! Yeah! Well, yeah. No, that's almost always true. But it does ease you into it. It does make it a little bit more approachable than I think it necessarily has to. Because it could just start out crazy off the bat and I'm not going to stop it. I just wouldn't know what's going on. Reading Arha is such a process because of the twists and turns. It's making it a little bit difficult. I'm enjoying it. I love the characters. I love the plot that they're setting up. I love that the details they're throwing in. But it's like, there's a lot happening. Then once it's like, you have to like keep track of so many characters. And like, I will say though, when I first read Shumei's name, I fucking lost it because I've read enough and like listened to enough dramas that I know that when I see Shumei, it's like younger Marshall's sister. And so when they were like, that's his name, and I was like, why? And so I just lost it. Arha's getting me. Arha's one that I'd wanted to read for a while, and so when they announced that it was going to be published into English, I waited to buy it and so that I could read it now. And now I'm just being really slow about it, which isn't a surprise, but I am. Let's see. But yeah, TGCF is my first love. It's my baby, it's my child. It's the one that got me into everything. She's my darling. She's my darling dearest. Read TGCF, watch TGCF, engage with TGCF. It's a cult. Same. His name was really funny at the beginning. It really caught me off guard because I was like, wow, that's so weird that they put a space and a capitalization for Shumei. Why would they do that? And then it turns out that it's because it's a name and not a title. I will say nothing has had me rolling quite like Scum Villain. Scum Villain sent me. Since my finals end in 2 days, I'll start reading it this summer. Yay! Oh my gosh, you're gonna have to tell me what you think. You're gonna have to come back and chat and tell me what you think of it, because it holds such a place in my heart. Definitely wait until after your finals end though in 2 days, because it consumed my life when I started reading it. Like nothing else had ever consumed my life before. And I went on an Avatar The Last Airbender sprint for like 6 months, and it was all I talked about. And it didn't consume my life like TGCF did. Will do. Please do. Please do. Yeah. TGCF is my beloved. My friend just went to Japan and she bought me TGCF merch. And that's how you know they're a real one. She didn't even ask. She was like, I bought you this. And I was like, yes, you did. Our whole apartment is just going to be TGCF. OMG, Avatar The Last Airbender, please, I love that show so much. So do I. I read it, wow. I watched it like 4 times in 6 months. It was really bad. I knew all of it. Now I haven't watched it for like 2.5 years. I want to go back and rewatch it this summer though, while I have the time and the patience. But it had a chokehold on me like nothing else. It was incredible. Favorite character? I'm going to be basic and just say Katara. I loved Katara. Okay, the real tea is I loved Katara, but then I also loved how Katara and Azula were foils for each other. That was some good writing. That was some good thinking on the part of the writers. It was just like, whew, because they're the same age. They both lost parents. They both had to deal with hard things. And yet Azula did not turn out all right, and Katara did. And so it's just like interesting to compare their stories. The writers knew what they were doing. Once I rewatch it, it's gonna get a whole dedicated stream of me just like ranting about it, because it's like, oh, it gives me the chills. Like, the writers put so much thought into it. Gotta love the parallels. Yes, the parallels were everywhere. There were parallels within parallels. There was planning beyond all measure. I love talking about how Zuko was never really the villain. I love talking about how good the final Agni Kai is. That show. I will so be there to watch that rant. Yes, please. Ugh. Once I rewatch it, it'll be a time. It'll be a time, to be sure. It was like my friends, at the time, like, heard nothing else but like my theories and my ideas and how I drew connections. It was insane. Zuko was just misunderstood, the poor boy. He was misunderstood, but he also, like, he didn't try for betterment until he did. And when he did, he was like, wow, I was never really the bad guy. I never really had to be the bad guy. And I'm so proud of him for that. Little boy grew up, which is so bad of me to say, but he did. But yeah, that show has my heart. That show has always had my heart. That's how I got introed into anime, is I loved that show so much, and then my friends were like, you just need to get into anime. And so then I did, and that was dangerous of me. But yeah, Avatar The Last Airbender. The writers knew what they were doing. They planned so far ahead. But then Legend of Korra didn't do it for me. It didn't do it for me. It didn't have the right vibes, and so it just didn't play the same, and so I didn't love it as much. But that's all right. We make do. We make do. Same, yeah. Yeah, Legend of Korra just, I don't know. It was something about how it got so unrealistic. That was part of the problem. I think part of the problem was that it had made so much technological advancement in such a short period of time. And not only that, but there was something so simplistic about Avatar The Last Airbender, and how it didn't necessarily have to be like, it wasn't so dead set on there being like technology and like, oh, we have to think about all these things, and like, oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. I should rewatch the show before I start like talking about it too much. But yeah, it just didn't have the same vibes for me, and so I didn't love it as much. I also didn't love any of the characters. Like Like the whole plot with Kuvira, I could not finish it because no one with the political power she held to do what she did. It got out there. It got out there really, really bad. I also think that it was much more like, this is season 1 and this is season 2. And I think that like what Avatar did well is that it wasn't like season 1, season 2, whatever. It was like easing you into a bigger plot with steps along the way. And I also think that they didn't really miss with any of the episodes in Avatar, except for the Great Divide. And the fact that I still remember that episode's name. Hopefully the movie they're making will be good. I hope so, because God knows that the Netflix one was not. That was a mess. So I'm really hoping that this movie is going to be good. I've like looked at the actors that they've cast and stuff, and it looks like it's going to be pretty good. But we shall see, you know. We shall see. I think they've done some actual training this time instead of just going, so hopefully it's better. Hopefully it's better. The Netflix one was a big, big mess. I don't know how anybody let that pass. How did anyone ever let that slide through production is the real question, because that one was a nightmare. Whew. Yeah, that was an interesting time. Interesting time. And then, no, I just love Avatar. I just love Avatar. But it definitely took a back seat once I started IB, which is unfortunate. Took a back seat once I started IB, and then I found TGCF, and that did not take a back seat. She did not move out of the way for my school, which is fine. It all worked out. Let's see. IB always makes everything take a back seat. It really does. It really does, but it doesn't always have to. I definitely still watched shows while I was in IB. I still read books while I was in IB. I did a lot slower, but I did it. We made it through. I also, well, I can't say I played that many games, I guess, because Animal Crossing came out before I was in IB, fully in IB. So that wasn't as much. But I definitely still got through some things, but it definitely slows it down. Exactly. It's when I studied for IB, because I was doing so much self-study, it was kind of the only thing I did is I'd come and I'd sit down and I'd study and I'd take notes and then I'd read textbooks and I'd do practice questions and then I'd maybe film a video if I felt like I needed to or I felt like I had the time. And so it definitely a lot of things got pushed to the wayside, but I think the thing that kind of made it better was the knowledge that once I was done and I could just take a step back and refocus on the things that I really enjoyed. And I watched a lot of TV and I read a lot of books and I read a lot of manga after I finished. And so it felt really good. I'm kind of a K-pop fan. I wasn't able to really enjoy it because of IB for a while. But the nice thing is about the IB is more academic freedom. Yeah, I'm not a K-pop fan. I thank God, because I would be a mess if I was a K-pop fan. It would be bad. Because I got to choose my subjects and stuff. Yeah, there's definitely more academic freedom, I think, for most people's schools. I don't know if I've mentioned it in many of the videos or not, but I went to a very small IB school, and so I didn't actually get a choice in what I took. What's my score if it's not a secret? So I made a whole video talking about my scores and my breakdowns if you're interested. I think it's the most recent full video that I put out, which is a little bit bad of me. But I got a 35 overall. And at all of my subjects, I got either a 5 or a 6. But I have my score breakdown for what I got on my IAs and stuff. And that's there if you want to look it up. But I made a whole video talking about these challenges and whatnot. But basically, I had 3 different IB coordinators over the course of my 4 years of high school, which is not what you want. I had My Spanish teacher somehow became our math teacher, but not really, because my math teacher just left in the middle of the class, and then we didn't get a new math teacher, and so my Spanish teacher became our math teacher. It was a mess. And so it was a lot more like rigorous for me than I think it needs to be. But yeah, because I went to such a small IB school, I didn't get as much choice with my classes. But what's nice about IB is I did get a lot of choice in the years leading up to it. So whereas most students have to take certain AP courses and certain like GT courses, gifted and talented, as they moved through, I got more freedom. And so I did a lot more APs in the first 2 years than most other students did. It is heartbreaking that getting a 6 from all subjects still doesn't get you into the 40+ group, aka IB elites. It's really hard. It's really heartbreaking. I agree with you. It's really hard because you can put in so much work and still not turn up with a 40. I will say that for the university I go to, on all HL courses, they take 5, 6, or 7s for credit. So even though I didn't surpass the 40, I still got credit for all of my classes, for all of my HL classes. I didn't get anything for my SL classes, but it did help the sting a little bit that I got that credit. But it's definitely a little bit sad that you don't get out of the 40+ range with 6s, especially because 7s are so hard to achieve. I actually think I got the closest to a 7. If I didn't get a 7, then I definitely got the closest on history, which I thought was hilarious because I taught myself history. But yeah, there is a whole video. It's 30 minutes, so I understand if you don't want to watch it. I go through my IAs and all my papers and the scores that I got and why I think I got those scores and all of that on the channel. Yeah. But I tried not to be a secret about it because I think it's important that people recognize that I may be giving the information, but I have no idea what I'm doing. I made it up as I went, for the most part. Obviously, I'm still reading from textbooks and trying to understand, but especially when there's not a lot of helpful content out there, it was a lot of me teaching myself. So the fact that I ended up with 5s and 6s, I was thrilled. I was so upset though, because my extended essay, I got a C. And I was so proud of my extended essay. I thought I did such a good job. I was like, wow, my extended essay is going to get such a good score, and my TOK stuff is going to get such a bad score. And then it was totally the other way around. In my TOK, I got an A, and my extended essay, I got a C. And I don't know how that happened. Yeah, but I was happy that I got the diploma at all. The other thing to keep in mind with my score is that according to my IB coordinator, my score was the highest that the school has ever seen. So I think that should tell you a little bit about my school. What did I do for my EE? Whoa, that was embarrassing. What did I do for my EE? My EE was in psychology. And I think that was part of my problem, is I shouldn't have done psychology, but that is what I'm most interested in. And it was, what is the mental impact of the bereavement of a parent on a child aged 5 to 7 or something? It was some young age range, and I looked at the mental effects of having a parent pass away on that child, and how they coped with it, and how it changed their life, and how the effect of the parent's death on the other parent affected the child. I thought it was a really well-written EE. I had a lot of really strong sources, but I guess I still don't fully understand what I did wrong with it. I did write it when we were totally virtual, and I did have an advisor for that paper who had never done advising before, so I think that might be part of why, but either way. Also, your videos are really helpful, and thank you so much for making them because they're funny too. It helps to remember. I'm glad you think so. I'm just glad they're helpful. They help somebody out there because, again, I started making them because I needed the help, and because for me, teaching is a big part in learning. And so I'm glad that they've been beneficial to people. It was really exciting to watch the views like go up and get comments that come in, and people are very happy and very grateful that I made the videos. That makes me really happy because I worked hard on them. And so knowing that they've been helpful to people, it's really good. So yeah, thank you. But yeah, my bio IA was a mess. My history IA went the smoothest. My bio IA, hot mess. My extended essay I thought was fine. My TOK, both my papers for TOK, hot mess. Don't know how that happened. Don't know how they came out okay. Not a clue. But they did. Do you have any tips for writing the TOK? Let me think on that for a minute, actually, because obviously I did well with the TOK. It's just hard for me to pinpoint why. So I did so first of all, I think for my question, let me actually pull up my papers so that I can look at them and reference them really quick. We're gonna take a 3-second detour, friends. I saved all the things that I turned in. I just don't know if I'm allowed to share them, so I won't be pulling it up on the screen, but I'm still gonna look at it and reference it. IB submissions. So my TOK exhibition, I will say, I think they graded me a little bit easy because it was the first year, I believe, that they had done the exhibition this way. And so it was different, and I think that they did it a little bit differently. So the question that I answered, I feel fine sharing this. I don't think this is going to get me in trouble. What is the relationship between personal experience and knowledge was the question that I answered. And I chose objects. We only had to choose 3 objects, so it might be different now because I wrote this when we were virtual, but the objects that I chose were all personal to me. So the objects that I chose, and I think this is also fine to share, I chose, my brother had just broken his arm. I talked about getting his cast and how that helped him learn about that part of the bone, learn about bones and breaks, and how breaking his arm forced him to learn that knowledge that he wouldn't have learned otherwise. I talked about doing a science lab and how doing that lab connected me better to the knowledge that we were learning. And I talked about COVID-19 distancing stickers on the floor and how going to stores and having to socially distance connects us better with learning about the virus because we're forced to keep up to date on the information. Keep in mind, this was 2020 to 2021 that I was writing this. And so it was still high time for COVID. But that was the question that I answered. And I think part of that was just, I had such a personal connection to the objects that I was able to talk about them knowledgeably and in depth. Because I know that some people tried to choose more general things, and I didn't think that that was as good of a choice. The other thing about the exhibition, it was really hard for me to write. I had never struggled so much writing a paper, and I think that's a me issue. But I sit down and rewrote everything I had multiple times. And that's not something I normally do. Usually I can sit down, get a good first draft through, even if it takes me a few days, and then go through and make tiny tweaks on that and come out all right. And that's not what I did for this paper. This paper I rewrote so many times. And so that was part of it. We still have to write those 3 objects too. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if it was 3 or in the past it had been 5, and I didn't know if that was a COVID change or a change that they were making permanently. But yeah, that's what I did. I think the questions change every year, so you can't copy my questions or my objects. I think I could be wrong. It's been many years. It's been 2 or 3 years since I've written this paper. I guess it was, I don't know, 2 or 3. But yeah, I also was very deliberate when I wrote the exhibition to make sure to go through and make so sure that every single sentence that I had in there was directly supporting my claim. Because I'm the kind of person where I will write and 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 write. I will get so close to the word count that it's actually like I have to go back and double check. I've had to ask, do titles count for word count? I've had to ask, like, do page numbers count for, like, I get really close to word counts. And so because this was such a small word count or like page count or whatever, I had to go through and like triple check to make sure that I was under it and I was okay. And that meant I had to go through and like strengthen all of the arguments in every single sentence. Did you also have to write the TOK essay? Yeah, let me talk about that in just a minute. I think that for me, the exhibition was almost more important because it was so much more work in my mind. But yeah, personal connection and going through and making sure all of the sentences that I had written directly supported my cause were the two things that I focused on for the exhibition. And like I said, I rewrote that. Like, I just remember being in this room, actually sitting on the couch behind me and like struggling with it because I didn't know what I wanted to do and what I was supposed to do, and it was hard and it was a struggle. So for the essay, again, this could be different because they might have changed it for COVID, but when I had to do it, the word count was 1,600 words. To give you an idea, I had 1,596 words. So I was 4 words away from the word count limit. I was really close. It was really, really bad. When I wrote it the first time, I went through and I did it in one sitting. Like, I think I wrote this whole thing in one sitting, maybe 2. My TOK teacher didn't help. She wasn't actually at school for the time that we were writing. And so because she wasn't there, she couldn't help us. And so I wrote it all on my own, and I was answering questions for kids in my class, like about the essay. Like, it was really sad. The question that I did was, or the title that I did, was, how can we distinguish between good and bad interpretations? Discuss with references to the arts and one other area of knowledge. So I believe I did art and science. Yeah, I did like art and science or something. Clearly I remember this one well. And I went through and I supported it as best that we could, and as best I thought I could, kind of made my claims. I had gone into that title with a knowledge of what I wanted to write about already, and I kind of had my points picked out. So I just went in and wrote it. It ended up being like 1,500 words, so like 100 words away from the word count limit, which was really good for me. Actually, it went over and then I pared it back down to 1,500. And then I sent it to my teacher for review, and she told me, I'm only going to help you get to a C. And she made edits to the document that would have made it so that I would have had to basically rewrite the whole thing. And I knew that with the edits she was making, I would have had to go over the word count and then choose things to take away. So I just chose to do minor edits instead that pulled it up right to that word count. And then I did nothing else to it. And so I don't remember it as much because I didn't work on it as much. That was me with my English HLE because I had 1,496 words by the end of writing it. I always was on the word count, every single paper. The papers where it was like page counts instead of word counts were my favorite because I was able to squeeze a lot more words in there, and I was really deliberate about like making sure my paragraphs went all the way to the end of the page and not just stopping halfway through the page. But yeah, the TOK essay, if you have specific questions, I'll probably be able to answer them. But in terms of like talking about it more generally, I think I will struggle a bit more to do so. So if you have questions, let me know. Also, I have been switching between water and Diet Pepsi this whole time. No, not really, because I'm focusing on my finals right now. Fair enough. Understandable. Yeah, I spent a lot of time focusing on my finals. I was very, very glad when all the essays were finished writing because it meant that I didn't have to think about them anymore. they weren't even particularly like looming over my head as much as like just taking up a lot of my time. Also, I saw the switch between the Pepsi and the water. Yeah, girl gets dehydrated. It's fine. I just like having a fun drink. I like having a fun drink, but also I need to drink water. It used to have ice in it, and then all the ice melted because I didn't drink it fast enough. But the Pepsi was in the fridge, so it's cold. That's the other part of it. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. My TOK experience, I think, was just not like what most other people experience for TOK. And so, I don't know. I question every day how I walked out of that TOK experience with an A in how the IB awarded me an A. I don't know, to be honest. It was a little bit silly, but I took it. Yeah, the only score I got that I was like really sad about was like when I got the C. My TOK teacher isn't around most of the time too, so I understand having to kind of improvise with it. Yeah, my TOK teacher only went to like a fraction of our classes. She had like a situation at home that was very serious, and I understand why she had to do that, and it was like, it just really sucked because she was the only teacher at the school that knew how to do TOK, and so now my Spanish teacher also teaches TOK. I don't know how, she's our IB coordinator. She was the Spanish teacher, the TOK teacher, and for a time she taught us math. That woman was a godsend. If she ever looks at this VOD, which she might, I think she follows this channel, thank you. Thank you, because I feel like we didn't tell you that enough. You really saved us. Yeah, it was senior year, man. Senior year was rough. And same with Spanish B too, because she got pregnant and just disappeared. Oh no. Oh. Yeah. I'm lucky that our Spanish teacher was like the only consistent person the whole time. I don't think I struggled with Spanish, but I struggled emotionally with Spanish. Like, I don't think I was as bad at Spanish as I thought I was, but I felt like emotionally that I was really bad at Spanish, and so it was very difficult to like kind of deal with that. I've had so many substitutes in her class, it's insane. Yeah, the problem with us was when my math teacher left, she went to go be a vice principal at a different school, and we didn't get a substitute teacher. We just didn't get a teacher because we were the only class that she really taught. And so they just were like, good luck. Although I already know Spanish, so I got that one. Good for you. Yeah, I did not know Spanish. I took Spanish for 2 years in middle school, 1 year in high school, and then I did AP Spanish online in my sophomore year, and then I did IB Spanish for 2 years, and then I decided to only do SL because I didn't think I was good enough at Spanish to do the HL. And I came out of that. I remember I came out of that with a 5 because it was exactly what my teacher told me was going to happen. I was like, I think I'm going to get a 3, and she was like, I think you're going to get a 5, and I got a 5. But yeah, it's good that you already know Spanish. You're like ahead of the curve. I did not know Spanish. And so I was just kind of like free balling basically, which is fine. It worked out. That class did stress me out though. All right. I might switch us over to drawing just because I kind of want to make a be right back screen, and I feel like this is a great opportunity to do that. Yeah, my only teacher I have is kind of helping on all subjects and is my history teacher because she's the only one teaching essay writing. You better thank that history teacher so hardcore, man, because whew, that's rough. It's rough. All right. So this might take a minute or two just for me to get OBS, and then I'm gonna switch back to chat. So if you say anything, I'll come back and read it in just like a minute when I'm switched over. Because I wanna make a be right back screen, and I kinda wanna make a stream starting soon screen so that I can have stream up for a minute or two before I like show myself so that I'm not scrambling. All right. I'm trying to make it so that chat looks decent. Hold on. Well, chat can kind of hang out. It's okay. I will fix it not right now. Well, or I can fix it right now. This is my problem. Transform. Actually, I know how I can fix this. This can be smaller. What are you planning on drawing? Right now I just want to make like a stream starting soon screen. And maybe like some sort of a stream layout so I don't look like an idiot next time. But then I kind of am thinking of trying to do something Tears of the Kingdom related. We'll see. Let me double check that that looks okay. Yeah, that's fine. That doesn't bother me horrifically. All right. So this maybe isn't the size that I actually want it to be. No, it is. This is the size. Is it? It is. We're good. We're chilling. Obviously, I draw most of my thumbnails and stuff, so I have all that like right here. This is the way I do all the thumbnails that I go in, and I just have it all layered so that I can switch over to history and take off math. But obviously, I haven't had to do that. So then it looks like history. So I keep all the thumbnails usually in one thing, but now I'm just gonna go in, and this should be the size of a stream, and if it's not, I can always edit it later, and that's okay. But I wanna do some sort of a stream starting soon screen and some sort of a be right back screen, because I imagine at some point in the future, I'm gonna need to go get more water or something, and I would rather not have people watch me like walk away while I do that. So this can help with that problem. So not that I need to be like super cognizant about branding or anything, since I'm just like kind of doing this for funsies, right? But I do want to have it like look a little bit nice. I might think about trying to do something with a stream layout at some point. I want to get a little bit more familiar with OBS before I do that, but at some point I think it would be nice. It would make it a little bit easier, right? So we can still talk about, perhaps we talk about my first year at college. So I'm not going to say where I went to college because I feel like that's a little bit sus, but I will talk about any experiences I had or answer any questions that you have, because I think it's interesting to talk about. So I already mentioned this, but I'll say it again. My majors are, I just declared them actually in May. Maybe, was it May or June? I don't know, I declared them recently. And they are neuroscience and Japanese. So two very different kinds of majors, but they're both a little bit involved, and I think that they're both really interesting. So yeah, that's what I went with. I can always change it later. I'm thinking about trying to go into some sort of neuropsychology. I was originally going to do some sort of a like go be a doctor or go to med school or whatever. But then I realized like that might not be a great idea, because if I do that, then I have to do a lot more work in college. That was one thing that IB taught me, is that I don't really want to be doing as much work as I did in high school. Because I did a lot of work in high school and it was tiring. And I didn't get burnt out somehow, but I feel like I got close to being burned out. And I don't really want to do that again. Am I doing this on the same? I am doing it on the same layer. Never mind. I do like that light purple kind of color though. I'm actually, part of my issue is that I'm struggling a little bit with what clubs I'd like to join. I'm pretty involved in like our like Japanese student association type deal, And so that's been pretty good for me. But I feel like that isn't kind of doing as much for me in terms of like academics, and it's more for fun. Yeah, I understand that. The amount of time needed to be dedicated to IB is just insane. It was especially crazy, yeah. I would spend full like days of my life. Like it just took up so much time. And I don't know that I want that anymore. What if we do streamer? We'll be right back. That could be cute. Not if it's in this huge font though. Oh, this is my problem. It does take me this long all the time, by the way, to like write words. It's actually, oof. We'll just do be right back and we can make it bigger than that. We'll make it like that size. Nope. So what is your plan? What is your like, not necessarily plan, I guess. What do you want to do with your life after high school, after IB? Planning on Chinese studies? Yeah, you mentioned that. I didn't know if you had like a grander plan or anything, but I think that's a good plan. That's fun. Yeah. I think it's so good of you to like then studying abroad in year of China, hopefully, because that would be cool. Yeah, that would be so fun. I'd love to do a study abroad in Japan. I know some people who are doing that right now, and I'm very jealous. Um, but I don't know yet because I also am thinking about teaching English in Japan potentially maybe after I graduate. And so I'm just thinking about like money issues and that kind of deal. But that's for the future, right? But yeah, Chinese studies is so cool. I think it's just I just think it's so baller that you're doing your history IA on the basis of Dame. That's so good. Nope. My grand plan isn't exactly there yet, but probably finance or something and maybe even become a commercial pilot. Wow. That's so cool. I could never do finance. I'm not good at math. Also, I feel like this has to be white if I'm going to do an accent color, and I feel like then the background has to be darker, but that's fine. We'll see. Yeah, I wish I had like some sort of exciting grand plan. I've changed my grand plan a few times now. Um, After I decided I probably wasn't going to go into med school. And so it's been, I guess, a little bit challenging trying to find a specific grand plan. And it's something I still struggle with, but I'll get there eventually. And I think that that's kind of not a bad thing. I'm doing this on the same layer again. That's not what I want. My EE is about Zetian and the influence of feminism in the Tang Dynasty. You're really going all in. I applaud you. That's so cool. I bet your research has been like the most interesting thing ever, though. Like, you've picked such strong topics to research that I bet you've just been having a good time doing it. I enjoyed my research for my EE. I enjoyed it a lot more than I enjoyed my research for my history IA, that is. Zetian. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. IB's hard. Does this even look good? No, it doesn't. What do I want to do for this? I could do some sort of a back layer. My eye is so fun because it's really interesting because I had no idea how much homosexuality was actually accepted in China. It's one of my favorite things to like find out once after I got into like the sphere. it's like it was kind of normalized. And it's like we talk about cut sleeves in like these books, right? Like that's the terminology. But it's like it was just kind of a thing and it was fine. And I love that. I love okay. This is off topic, but I'm going to get into it anyways. I love how we got the word cut sleeve. Like the little story that's associated with the word cut sleeve is so cute to me. And so I just love it. I don't know. Okay, that looks bad. I'm not sure how I'm meant to be doing this, actually. Yeah, I didn't pick my topics necessarily because I loved them. I picked them in part because I thought they'd be easy to kind of research. I think the exception to that was my EE was picked totally for my love of what I was researching. We'll do little flowers in the background. That'll be cute. I think the other thing is like in college, the world opens up so much more. Like I've mentioned that my friends like Dame, and it's like I would have never gotten that in high school. Like I was worried to even say that I liked anime to a certain extent because people were just so much meaner and it was such a small circle. Also understandable for the change of plans. I wanted to study aerospace engineering, and the flowers would be super cute. Yeah, I think we're gonna go with the flowers and see how that works out for me. We're just kind of chilling at this point. It's a little bit less intense, I guess. Just doing little flowers. But my recent obsession has been Tears of the Kingdom. I have just been on such a Tears of the Kingdom train. And I was obsessed with Breath of the Wild, so being obsessed with Tears of the Kingdom is not, like, out of this realm. But man, the chokehold that it had on me for so long, like watching all the ads and stuff, insane. Yeah. But I don't have any way to like hook up my Switch to my laptop to stream it, so I probably won't be able to stream it, which is why we're doing like art stuff for now. I figure at some point I can maybe do... You've never really been a Zelda fan? Yeah, I think it's a certain kind of person, or like, I don't know, I think it's more specific than some of the other fandoms. It's a little bit less, if you believe me when I'm going to say this, a little bit less intuitive to get into than something like Dame, which sounds really dumb, but because I think there's a monetary aspect to it and there's just so much history with like the story, I think it's harder to get into for some people, especially because like I started playing Zelda games when I was really little, and so it was less of a hurdle, if that makes sense. But that's all right. We chill. I will have to go on a Tears of the Kingdom rant. Not right now, I think, but probably at some point. Right. It was created in the early 2000s, wasn't it? Actually, it's 36 years old now, I think. So it was created sometime in the 1990s, I guess? 1980s, late 1980s, early 1990s, somewhere in there. Wind Waker was my first game. That one was created in 2003, and then I played the HD version, which was created in like 2013, maybe? Yeah, it's an old series, and so there's a lot of games, and there's a lot of like backstory and lore to it. And I think that like you don't need to know that backstory and lore to like enjoy it. But also there's so much more enjoyment to be had when you know that kind of lore. And I think that's true about anything, but the difference is that because it's not like a single book where you just pick up and you read that book and then you kind of know what's going on. It's more of like an expanded universe type deal. I think it's a little bit less A little bit less approachable for most people. Which is sad, but that's the truth of it. I like this better. I can do like a little train of flowers like that way, and then I'll write on top. Be right back. Great. Oh, I could have animated it. Darn. Actually, I kind of want to animate it. Wait, can I animate it from in here? I don't remember. Oh, you can. We're learning things today. We're learning how to animate. I've never really messed with the animation, and I don't want to do anything too extreme, but I think it would be cute if like maybe the flowers moved up and down or something, just so that it doesn't look like a static image on a live stream. I think that might worry some people if they popped in and they saw that and they worried maybe that they weren't seeing the correct thing or something. Maybe they thought it froze. And so I think that this is a good solution to that. I'm just going to test out to see how that's going to work. And then maybe we can look into doing that. Tried with 2D animation, but I'm not a good artist, so animation just isn't my thing. Yeah, I don't want to do anything too complicated because I'm not a very good artist either. I just think it would be cute if maybe there was like a little bit of movement, which I think I can handle. I think I can handle that, but we'll see. The rotation of the flowers might be cool. That's a good point. I might try and do that. I want to look and see how this looks, and then we might try and do that as well. I want to make more flowers anyways, so this is what I'm doing right now isn't going to be final. It's just more so I can get an idea if it's going to look good in the first place. But yeah, I like the rotation of the flowers. We might try and do that. But not if I keep pressing the wrong buttons. That's really fast. Frames per second, like 4, I guess. Yeah, like that's cute. I'm fine with that. But now I'm going to get rid of all the extra frames. Do you have any favorite music? I listen to so much music. I don't even know if I have a favorite. I will say that when I'm working on a project or when I'm like focusing on something else, I listen to a lot of instrumental, so like show OSTs or game OSTs or whatever, what have you. But when I'm kind of like vibing, I listen to a lot of J-pop. I listen to a lot of YOASOBI. I listen to a lot of 1OK Rock. I love this band called OK Goodnight, which is like much more hardcore rock than I usually go for, but they have such a cool sound. Those are kind of some of my favorites. I really bounce around though. I don't stay super static in what I enjoy. I lost the background color that I had. That's fine. My favorite OST in general or right now? Okay. My long-term favorite has always been Breath of the Wild. It has a very like, it should be, well, it was playing. It might not be playing anymore. I don't know. It might still be playing. We'll see. But it has a very like back of mind kind of feel. It's meant to like accompany you, but not overtake your mind. And so it's really good for studying because it just like rests in the back of your head. And so that's always been one of my favorites for when I'm making art or when I'm studying. And I'd say in terms of like outside of that, which is just always an all-time fave. I listen to a lot of Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket always got me. I listen to a lot of like Ghibli kind of OST type stuff. And so it's a little bit of a hodgepodge, a little bit of a mix, but yeah, I move around a little bit. I do have like a privated YouTube like collection basically of OSTs and like short form songs. Ghibli OSTs are really good. Joe Hisaishi really did us so good. He did the most for us. Also, Radwimps for Kimi no Nawa and Kimi no Nawa, Suzume no Tojimari, and Tenki no Ko. Radwimps has really got me hooked on those OSTs. What's my favorite Ghibli film? Whew. I can give you my top 3. I don't know if I can give you my favorite. I'd say Spirited Away. I love Haku. I love Chihiro. They are my babies. They are my children, and I love them. Princess Mononoke, a classic. A classic. It's, whew. And also, obviously, Howl's Moving Castle, also a classic. They're all just the classics. I don't know. I haven't watched all the Ghibli films. I need to watch the Fireflies, Graveyard of the Fireflies or something like that. I haven't seen that one, so I need to watch that one. But I've heard it's very sad. So I'm like waiting for a day where I just need to like cry so that I can watch that. But yeah, I really like the classics. Spirited Away has my heart. I rewatched Howl's Moving Castle pretty recently, and that was also very good. They're just always so good. They're so good. I think that something that's done really well in Ghibli films is taking time to have breathing room in the films. And so it doesn't feel like you're watching this like crazy, like 10,000% always happening, like always on, like there's enough time in the films. They're long, but there's enough times where like I feel like you get to take a deep breath and kind of focus on kind of the characters and debrief with yourself, that it really works quite well. And I think that's something unique to Ghibli films, and it's something that I've really enjoyed. And so I think that's, again, we were talking earlier about like what do you get in Asian media that you don't get in Western media, and I think that's part of it, is that Western media always feels like there has to be something going on, and I don't think that's always true. Princess Mononoke, really good film, but it's so intense sometimes I don't rewatch it often because I gotta be in the mood for it. It is intense. I rewatched it like twice, maybe 3 times. There's just something about the characters in that one that really like has me in a chokehold. Like Ashitaka, great character. San, great character. The woman that I can't remember the name of, great character. The story, great story, but also it is like, it's intense. It's by far probably the most dramatic Ghibli film I've ever watched, right? Like, I've never seen people's arms get pulled off in the same way that they do in Princess Mononoke. Even that opening sequence where it's like he's running from the boar or whatever. Whoa, that's crazy. Dude, that's exhausting. And so I don't rewatch it often, but when I do, I always just like love it. And the soundtrack's so good. I'm such a soundtrack person. Like if you give me like a mediocre film that has a good soundtrack, that film's going to be better in my mind than if it didn't have a good soundtrack. Which is maybe a little bit bad of me to like say, but soundtracks do something for me. Ashitaka and San's relationship dynamic is also really cool too compared to the other films. Although Howl and Sophie are always just so amazing. San and Ashitaka really had something different than I think the other films did. Actually, all 3 from the movies that I mentioned, all 3 of the relationships are a little bit different, and they're really good in their own way. Like San and Ashitaka, it's like there's a love, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's romantic love, and there's a love, but it doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be acted on. And I think that's something really beautiful that you get in Princess Mononoke as opposed to some other films or other places that you might look. Contrarily, or in on what am I saying? Uh, Hal and Sophie are obviously just the cutest ever. I love them. They're made for each other. They're my children, even though they're older than me. I love them. They're so cute. They're so good for each other. They both helped each other like become better people, and I think that that's something that I just go crazy for in films is when the characters like improve each other as people. And I think that that's another thing Ghibli does really well is that the characters just are better because of each other. Have I seen Arrietty? That film has to be has to be your favorite Ghibli film. I have seen Arrietty. I also loved that one, and when I watched it, I listened to the soundtrack on repeat. I like knew all the words to the songs. I really liked it. It has a different vibe for me, and it never became one of my favorites just because it didn't scratch the same itch that like say Spirited Away does. But I really enjoyed watching it, and I would probably rewatch it. I haven't yet because I watched it like, I guess it was a few years ago now, but it's definitely one that I would rewatch. I enjoyed it. It's just not one of my like top favorites, but the soundtrack's like banger. This is a thread through Ghibli films that I just love their soundtracks so much. Whisper of the Heart too. Which one was that? I know I watched it, but I just don't remember which one it is, which maybe is bad of me. Let's do a quick Google. Oh, yeah, I know this one. This one was good. It was cute. Again, obviously it didn't do the same thing for me that like the classics did. I don't know if you could hear that, but that was thunder. So that's exciting. No, Whisper of the Heart, I think it just didn't give me the same sense of wonder that I got from like Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke. But it was still like, the vibes are so good. Like, Ghibli just consistently captures the vibes. This flower is becoming much bigger than I had originally planned it to be, so we're gonna stop. What was I saying? I might make this one smaller. Oh yeah, Ghibli films. Also, Castle in the Sky. Yes. Shizuku is so relatable sometimes, and the relationship between her and Seiji is so cute. Yeah, I can agree with that. Oh my gosh, wait, what was the one relationship? Hold on, now I have to look. Now I have to look what the name of the movie is. This is the problem, is I'm bad with names, and so I'll remember like a vibe or like how I felt when I watched something, but not the name of the thing. What the heck was its name? Oh, from Up on Poppy Hill. Have you ever watched that one? I really liked that one, and I feel like that's a little underrated. We all need a Seiji in life. Also, TBH, I had to look up the names because I forgot them. I am so bad with names. Like, I'm always like, I will watch a whole movie or a whole anime or a whole TV show, and I'll go, yeah, the girl with the blue hair. My friend's like, so-and-so, and I'm like, yeah, the one with the blue hair. Is that the one with the blue hair? I forget names so easily. But yeah, I've watched a great deal of Ghibli films. Also, how have I forgot about the Wind Rises? I love the Wind Rises. Also underrated. Wind Rises is so good. Their relationship? Bro, they're the cutest. I love them. She was sick and he loved her, and they were sick and it was okay. The film, I swear to God, it really hits so hard, so much harder once you know the history behind it too. I know. That one hurts. But I love it. I'm pretty happy with these flowers. Why are you suddenly... Oh, no. Why are you trying to be two different panels? I don't want that. Well, whatever. I can go back and do that later. I really like these flowers. I think once we put... I just deleted those words. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Yeah, thank you. I'm happy with it. Now I think I'm going to add some sort of movement, and then I need to do the actual labeling of the words on there. So you said we should try and do rotating, and I think that that might be a little bit better than trying to move them up and down, maybe? I think doing both is probably a little bit much, but either I could have it like go up and then go down, and then go up and then go down, or I could have them like rotate back and forth. Oh my gosh. So let's duplicate this a few times, a lot of times, like 4 times. If I'm gonna rotate them, I have to do it like individually. I can have them rotate different directions. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is probably back and forth. Rather than all the way around. Also, that's easier for me if they go back and forth and not all the way around. I'm gonna forget which direction I'm making them go is the problem here. Oh yes, I was talking about the wind rises. I love the wind rises. They're so cute. They're couple goals, they're life goals. I love them. Laputa Castle in the Sky is good. When Marnie is there was good. I have a lot of favorite Ghibli films, I think, is what we're learning here today. Is I'm struggling to pick a favorite. I just don't rewatch often, but I should. I should go back and rewatch some more. Because I really always enjoy it when I rewatch, especially because then once you kind of know what's going to happen or you know the vibes, it's easier to just kind of live in the moment and enjoy it. I think do one more rotation and then I'll start duplicating them and make them go backwards. And then I'll be able to put that on a loop. And then that'll be easy. So we'll do one more rotation. And then if it's not enough rotation, then we just do more rotation. That's life. I do need to remember how to add wording on top of an animation in Procreate, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. My favorite anime? Oh, God. I feel like I have to go with Fruits Basket, but I don't know that it's like my favorite. It's just like one of my favorites, but I love Fruits Basket, and I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to the world if I said that it wasn't my favorite. Did I say rotating? I'll go with. I don't know that I rotated those all in the right direction, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, Fruits Basket is really good. I think that if you haven't watched Fruits Basket, it's definitely an undertaking because it's like 3 seasons and the first 2 seasons are like 25 episodes and the last one's like 13. But it's so good. It's like if you like side characters or background characters that are fleshed out, I think you do it by putting all the animation layers together and then putting the text on the first layer. But I don't know, that would make sense. I'll just have to remember how to do that. There was a remake, right? That's what I'm talking about. Not the old one. Definitely the remake. Let's look at trying to duplicate these backwards. The remake is so good. I think that if you like characters who are fleshed out and are like background characters or side characters, I think then that's the show that you should go for because there's like so many characters, and the fact that I remember so many of their names really says a lot about me liking them as characters. And I think it's just a really good show. Let's play this for a moment, and then I will think of more anime that I like, which isn't hard to do. How did this one not get rotated very much? We can fix that. So if you haven't watched Orange, if you don't mind kind of heavy mental topics, I think that Orange is really good. But not everybody can do heavy mental topics, and so it's not for everybody. But I think it's good. What else was I gonna suggest? There's so many. Let's watch it again. I don't know what. Oh, I do know what happened. I rotated this one the wrong direction the last time. You're more of a shonen fan. Yeah, I'm definitely more of a shoujo fan, and I don't watch a lot of shonen. I have seen Bungo Stray Dogs. I have not seen the most recent season because I didn't like Bungo Stray Dogs enough to watch the most recent season. I don't watch a lot of isekai. Well, I guess I watch some isekai with my friends, but it's not usually what I go for. I don't even know. I did watch Sword Art Online, which is kind of shonen, I guess. Always gotta love Given so much. Given was my first BL anime. That was a good one to start with. It's so good. They're so good to each other. I love them. No, Given, I always recommend Given. I always recommend Given because it's so good. And I just think that the characters are so well suited to each other, and I love talking about Given too because people kind of Given started the BL spiral for me. Genuinely same. I got into Given, and then after Given, I got into manhwa, like the Korean. And then after I got into the Korean, I went back to anime, and I got into a lot of the anime. Let's watch this again. My favorite manhwa, I don't know. Is it bad of me if I say BJ Alex? Is that a little off the wall? Is that a little unhinged? It might be my favorite, which is so funny because I just said Given was one of my favorite BL anime, and they are not similar. I feel like I go to manhwa when I want unhinged, and I go to anime when I want like normalcy, which is crazy of me, and it says a lot about the manhwa I read because anime is not normal. Anime is kind of unhinged, especially BL anime. Just it goes so hard, and so I think that like it's a little bit much for me to say that. I also read some of the Chinese. BJ Alex, I swear to God, I finished reading it finally recently. Yeah, it's so good. BL anime is crazy sometimes. It really is. With BJ Alex, that author, or the mangaka, well, I guess it's not a mangaka if it's a manhwa. The artist is making a new series called Jinx right now, and I'm reading that one as it comes out, and it has been just as much of a ride. That's why I went for Dame, because it's a little less nuts, and that's saying something. But I agree. I think I go for a mix, and I think that it's nice to live in such a good world where we have so many options, because I'm able to go and get my unhinged content, and then I'm able to go and get my sweet content, and then I'm able to go and watch anime, and blah, blah, blah. With the exception of Arha. Well, yeah, they're all a little nuts. Yeah. I think that's cute. Oh yeah, that solved the problem. The animation's super cute. I don't want it to be on top, so I want to change, oh, yeah. I want to change where it rests on the thing itself, but after that, I want it to be like there. I'm actually also going to make it a little bit smaller just in case this is too wide for YouTube and YouTube doesn't like that, because that should solve that problem. I think that's fine. Yay! We've done one thing successfully in the last 2 hours. Yay! I did the one thing I said. One half of the things. I want to do a stream starting soon. Oh, God. Yeah, so manhwa, in terms of manhwa, I like My Darling Signed In, which is one about like gaming. I like Salad Days. If you've never read Salad Days, I honestly stopped keeping up with it. So it's a little bit fake fan of me to say that I enjoy it, but it's really cute. And I'm allowed to think things are really cute if I don't actively watch them. How did I mess this up? Oh, I have. Also, really, really recommend Operation True Love. I haven't seen that one. Let me write it down so that I can go and look at it after this. I always take suggestions and I look into suggestions because I feel like people know what they're talking about. Like, I love having people to just give me recommendations because I will take them. No, that's super cute. We've done it. We've done it, boys. Success. The art style's gorgeous and the male leads, oh my God. Oh, see, that's how you get me. That's how you turn me into something, is you say the art style's good and also the men are great. The female main character, love her so much. Female main characters get so much hate. Oh, they get so much hate. I don't know if you've ever watched Thai BL dramas, but Thai BL dramas are such a time because it's literally like, it's just unhinged. The women are unhinged in Thai BL dramas consistently. I'm gonna save these colors because then I can use them at a time that isn't right now. So we can look at some of my other artworks that I've done. So this is what I turned in for IB in terms of OMG Thai BL, I Can't the Woman Sometimes are so unrealistic. Sometimes, all the time. They're always unrealistic. I've never seen, there's always one woman who is like the same person. And I don't mean the same literal person, I mean somehow they've embodied the same character. Though Thai BL does that a lot where the actors are always the same. A lot. So this was one thing I turned in for IB. I actually did some edits on it since I turned it in and added more trees because that's what my teacher wanted, and then that's not the one I turned in. But it's low-key the charm of it because it's unhinged. It is. That's why I go there. The art piece is so cute. Thank you. It was originally going to be in like an Instagram style like box, and it was going to be like a commentary on social media. But then I didn't want to do the Instagram style box thing, and so it became a commentary on being with the people we love after COVID and going back out into the world, which definitely was made up after I turned the piece in. And then this one, which is a little bit less, I guess, produced, because I did it for myself and just for funsies, and then it ended up being something that I turned in for IB because my teacher really liked it. But I still like it. I had this image in my head with a girl with stars on her dress looking up at the stars over city with the lights, and so that ended up being something that I made. Let's see. In progress, YouTube finished. I mean, my finished works aren't all that great. That is cool, female main character vibes. Yeah, I thought so. My current works are like also unhinged. This is the thing that I've been doing most often. I know you said you aren't a Zelda fan, but this was my little Zelda artwork that I've been doing. Some sad things happen to the girl that embodies the goddess, and that what he's holding onto is kind of like a goddess statue, and so I'm like manifesting that he's like hanging out with the statue because he misses this girl. Anyways, we don't need to worry about it. I just pulled up a blank screen, and I don't really know that I have anything specific to make, but I would probably go back to that. I do want to do a stream starting soon screen. I feel like it doesn't need to be as involved as the be right back screen, but I don't want to use the same thing. But yeah, I don't know, my art is kind of something that takes a back burner sometimes. I write a little bit for like fan fiction type things. I do a little bit of art for just me. I play a little bit of ukulele, I sing a little bit, but it's all just mainly for me, and so none of it's gotten super good. It's all just something that I kind of do for fun. Maybe change the color? Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I don't know though, because it might be like a branding thing to keep it the same. I write? Yeah, I write a little. It's not a lot. I don't write a lot. And none of it's for fandoms that you're in based on this conversation. And by that, I mean you haven't read TGCF and you don't know Zelda. But I do write a little, and it's mostly angst. I think we're going to do more artwork next time because I want to think more on what I want the stream starting soon screen to be, which does mean that we're not going to have a stream starting soon screen for next stream. I'll use the be right back screen. It's going to be fine. We can transition back over to just chit-chatting for a little while. I don't know how much time you have. Just kind of hanging out. That was like my main to-do that I wanted to get done this stream, was the be right back screen, and now I've gotten it done, so I feel very productive. I'll go back in and do some more doodling. I want to do some more thinking and collecting of like pictures. You love writing angst so much. Angst is so much. Main relationship I have for my book is going to be so angsty. Ooh. Angst? Okay, here's the tea. I like angst when I know that they're going to be okay. And in fan fiction, I can convince myself, okay, another 15 minutes or so. Okay, that sounds good. I can go another 15, 30 minutes. Angst for me, I think, is difficult because in canon, I want my characters to end up okay. Because it makes me very happy to know that everybody ends up happy and healthy and with each other and they're dating and they love each other. So like even with the Untamed, when I finished the Untamed and they walked away from each other at the end of the show, I cried. And I was like, in my heart, I know that they end up together because I've read the end of Moldau. But yet, I still suffer. And so that was my drama there. But generally, I'm good with angst as long as they get a happy ending, except in fan fiction, they're allowed to just hurt. Because I know that even if they hurt in fan fiction, they're happy in real life. Real life being also fiction. It's not real. But that's how I convince myself that it's okay. And so I just end up writing angst a lot. Writing a lot of angst, reading a lot of angst. Almost always angst. True, the suffering part isn't exactly fun if they don't have a happy ending. I think that for the most part, that's true. I like the hurt comfort aspect. I like having both because for me, part of the angst is having to explain to another person why they're hurting or having to have another person see them hurting. That's a good part of angst for me. And so when I'm deprived of that, it makes me a little sad. I should try and drink more water before we end the stream. But suffering is good suffering can be good. I think at some point I'll probably do like a super chill writing or reading stream just because I have a lot of books to read and I'm writing a fan fiction right now that I'm like publishing. And I think that having just kind of a chill stream to work on that would be fun. I'm planning on having a sort of bittersweet ending for my characters, but they still end up together, so win-win sorta. As long as they end up together, that's a happy ending in my book. As long as they are near each other in the end, It's a happy ending to me. I think bittersweet endings can be really good. It's just the problem for me becomes when bittersweet just becomes bitter, and then I'm sad. I always have to be able to talk myself into the believing that they're going to be okay. Otherwise, I just cry and cry and cry. No, I feel like I never finished answering the anime question because I have a lot of animes that I've watched and enjoyed, and I keep a list. True, one book with that gotta be Maurice. I don't know if you've read that. I haven't. Is that Dame or is that just like a normal Western book? In terms of anime, though, that's a hard question. I'm gonna have to think about it. 100 out of 10 recommend. Oh my. I will write that one down also to look into for my sanity. Yeah, I will think on the anime question and I will have an answer for you next stream. It's a normal Western book, but oh my god, I love that book so much. I did it for my HLE. Wow. Okay, that is true love. I will look into it. English HLE specifically. I picked that up. You're good. You're good. I get it. I'm with it. We'll probably have a chill reading stream at some point, like I said, just because I have some books that I'd like to read. And I think it would be fun to just kind of chill, have some music on, hang out, read. It would be fun. But I'm trying to get through Arha right now. I want to finish Arha and then I will read other things, but Arha first. Arha first is what I keep telling myself, and then yet I keep... Yeah, there's a movie too, and it's an MLM too. Ooh, okay. Speaking my language. You really lucked out on all your IB things that you got to do MLM and you got to do Dame-inspired work. The movie has young Hugh Grant. Oh my god. Okay. Maybe I watch the movie and then decide if I want to read the book. Unless that's like the wrong way to go. But I feel like I've said that like 6 times in the last 2 minutes. No, I just think, I don't know. I'm always looking for suggestions, though it might take me a long time to get to them. My like suggestions list is really long, but I always look at it. It just takes me a while. But I'd like to do Avatar soon, and we can have like a fun Avatar rant. And by fun Avatar rant, I mean passionate Avatar rant. Fun for me and maybe for no one else. I watched the movie first, so you can watch the movie first. Okay, well then that's probably what I'll do. I'll probably do that, yeah. Hopefully sometime soon. I guess I have some time, but I just don't know when I'll get to it. I'm watching some dramas right now. I watch a lot of dramas. I've been really into the dramas recently. And so that's been taking up a lot of my time. That's the problem with dramas, is they're like 45-minute episodes, and anime is like 20-minute episodes. And there's a big difference between those two things. But yeah, Avatar stream, maybe a fan fiction writing stream, probably another drawing stream of some kind. I just kind of want to hang out. I don't know that I'm super good at playing games or anything. Maybe some Sims or Minecraft at some point, but I don't know that I have any direct ideas. Also, I don't know if you know Rupert Graves, but there's a young Rupert Graves too. I don't know Rupert Graves. What else have they been in that I might know? I'm also just bad with names. I feel like we've established this, that I'm not good at names. But that's all right. I'm probably going to try and film a video talking about either suggestions that I have for people that are going into college, or talking about my college experience for the first year, because I feel like this channel has been kind of a growing kind of channel, like IB sort of channel, and I feel like it's a similar demographic. I do want to eventually move away from that sort of content since I'm not in IB anymore. He's in Sherlock BBC, and he's got the police chief. Okay, I do know this person. Not personally, but I have seen them on Twitter. Or people posting their picture on Twitter, rather. I just think that I am not going to be able to sustain IB content without being an IB unless there's like a really big drive to do so, which at this point there's not, unfortunately. But I think I could do a little bit of like college readiness, preparedness, application story. Oh my God, my application story for college is brutal. Brutal. It's a tale. It is a tale. And so I think that'll probably become a video at some point, just because I think there's a lot to say. Other than that, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of take it one day as it comes. Understandable college stuff would be awesome. Yeah, I can definitely provide that. I have recommendations and thoughts. My college application story was horrific, and I think it'll make a very good story time type beat. I got to start applying for university soon, so that'll be helpful. Yes, absolutely. And I will probably put that in a video rather than a stream, just so that it reaches a wider audience. I plan on leaving the streams up and like public, but I just don't think many people are going to watch VODs, and so it might be better to make a video about it and then have a stream answering questions. But yeah, I think that's just about the plans that I have for the stream. Obviously, this is the first one. It'll get a little less scuffed as time goes on. It's a little scuffed right now, but that's all right. It's been fine. It's not been too bad, at least. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, I have a few more videos I want to make. I'm still trying to decide what kind of content I want to do. I don't think it's going to be anything too deep or too serious. Probably just a lot of ranting, if I'm being real honest. It was cool. It was cool. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you hung out the whole time. It's been really nice to have someone to stream to, because I know that a lot of people start out not streaming to anyone. So it's been great to have you here. No, I don't know that I have any grand plans, but it's going to be kind of a chill kind of streaming sort of business. I don't know that I'm moving into content creation, because God knows I don't know if I could handle that. I don't know if I have enough creativity for that, but I think every once in a while, making a video, having a stream, it'll be fun. And it'll get less scuffed as I go on. That I can guarantee. That I can guarantee. But yeah, probably a lot of ranting. It's always cool to talk with new people, especially when they like Dame. Yes, I will have a more comprehensive list of the Dame I've read. I will pull it together, because right now it's just living in my brain. And in my brain, it doesn't hold on to things very well. This is why I keep lists. But I always have Dame thoughts. I always have hot takes for Dame to pass out. So do not be fearful of that. I always have hot takes of Dame. But yeah, it's so funny that you just randomly like Dame too. That's crazy. I feel like Dame people tend to find each other like magnets. Like, you don't plan for it. You don't think about it. But then you say something and someone else goes, that's a little suspicious. And then suddenly you find people who like Dame. And you find one person who likes Dame and you start talking about Dame, and suddenly there's 70 other people talking about Dame. It's actually like more so than any other like fandom or group that I've been a part of. People conglomerate. Like, oh, it's so weird. It really is. And I know that you said that you haven't found many people in real life that like Dame, but once you do, or once you go to college, if you find people who like Dame, they will attract like magnets. It's like I found one person who likes Dame, and then suddenly we had 5 more people around us who had read Modal. It happened to me once. I was book shopping once and met someone else who was a Dame fan too. It's really funny, isn't it? I haven't had that experience. I want to have like that meet cute kind of like, oh, we both reach for the same volume of TGCF or something stupid. But I think that would be so cool. I hope you kept in touch with that person, because that's such a crazy relationship, crazy coincidence to happen, to like find someone else like that. Yeah, I haven't had that. I just randomly found people at my school who like it, which was enough for me. Please, I want the meet cute so bad. I know. I feel like there's a world in which that happens. Someone made, I remember when 7C's licensed the Dame, or the MXTX novels. And one of the things that I saw that came up on like my feed about it was the fact that someone's gonna have a meet cute where they both are looking for the same volumes or something, or the same series. And I think that's such a good idea. Like, there's a world in which that happens, right? And oh, I want that. That's so cute. It's so funny too when you see people in like the manga section, you're like, are you here for the same books that I am? And no, never. I'm also an editor too, so finding MXTX editors too is such a cool way of enjoying Dame as well. I know! I think it's so nice that like the Dame community is big enough and wide enough that there's people of all different subsects in it, and enough so to form their own kind of mini communities almost. Like there's enough fan fiction writers to like have like a fan fiction writing creator basis, and like artists, there's more artists than I even know. And like I can name my favorites, but I can't name all of them. I've never seen all the art, and it's so cool because I feel like people, when they think about Dame, they consider it being such like a small kind of community, and I don't think that's true at all. I think that it really branches out a lot farther than people expect, and even than I expected. I think it's just a little bit hard to break into the online community, again, because of the alphabet soup. But once you learn how to digest the alphabet soup, you're gonna be just fine. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit quirky. And I think that some anime communities don't necessarily get that same kind of vibe. Whereas Dame is definitely like special in that regard. But I think it's true. I think it's true that the community's strong but big. It's definitely a lot bigger than I thought it would be when I got into it. I definitely expected it to be like this like small underground subsect of people. It's difficult to get into the fandom initially. I joined the TGCF Discord, and that was like my big in. But other than that, I was like on my own on Twitter trying to figure it out, and it was chaos. I made it through though. And once you get through and then you get people recommending like thousands of books in a day, it's insane. It's also difficult initially. Trying to remember the Chinese names was hard too. I agree, especially when they're similar. Like Jinshin, the Jin people have similar like personal names to a certain extent, and it made it so hard to remember who was who. And I only really started remembering people's names No, you're good. Trying to remember people's names for me is hard already. And so when you put people who have multiple names, multiple titles, similar names, changing one letter in the English to make a new name, it got so confusing. It was so confusing at first. And I didn't really start remembering the names properly until I started reading fan fiction, and people would like characterize the characters in like the same way always. And because they didn't have as much depth, I think that made it easier to remember the names. But it still ain't easy. True, the titles thing can be so confusing too. It was hard to learn everything. It is, especially when I hate when some people like translate the titles and some people don't translate the titles. And I'm like, can we please just not translate the titles? Please just leave it as it is. And so then I can remember it as it is. Like, Yiling Laozo and then Patriarch of Yiling is fine because you're only changing one word. But like Huang Guang Jun, and then you change it to like Bearer of Light or something, I'm like, just leave it, bro. It's fine as it is. I have a lot of opinions on when things should be translated and when things should not be translated though, so that's a little bit of a me issue. That's a little bit of a me problem. But it pays off once you do, because then you can go around and be like, I know the titles, and you can explain to other people, which is pretty funny sometimes. It is. It's also funny kind of trying to explain it though, because it's like you saw me struggling earlier. It's so hard. It's so hard to try and indoctrinate people when it's like so confusing. And it's like not confusing once you know it, because then you can just kind of seamlessly have a conversation with alphabet soup and like using different titles to mean the same thing. But when you're trying to like tell someone, no, well, it's MDZS or Moldal or Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation or Moldal's shoot, and they're like, I'm sorry, what? And it gets complicated. But once you've got it down, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Let's see. I also, so the C-dramas I've watched that are dame that I've watched are Wuliang, I've watched Word of Honor, I've watched The Untamed, I've watched Guardian, and that's just about it. I started trying to watch Moldu, but the problem was that I couldn't find a good English translation, and I was really struggling to understand the machine translation, and so I didn't watch much of it. But my friends who speak Chinese watched it, and they really enjoyed it. So I was a little bit sad. I was a little bit sad that I couldn't watch it as well, but that's all right. Let's see, there's one that's like Nobleman, I don't know. Yeah, also I think I've got to go. I got to study for history. No worries, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you stopping by. Good luck with your studying for history. Hope I see you in another stream sometime soon. In terms of, yeah, like I was saying, I think in terms of C-dramas, or dame dramas rather, I guess I've watched a lot more C-dramas than I have, if you include non-dame dramas, because I've watched like Eternal Love, and I've watched Love 020, and I've watched Meteor Garden. I really didn't like Meteor Garden though. I find so much more success in the dame sphere, which makes sense because that's kind of what I enjoy. Thank you. I'm gonna definitely be back for the next streams. Yeah, I hope to see you there. Again, good luck with your studying. What was I saying? Yeah, so I've watched quite a few C dramas, and I just like the dame dramas especially. They're my favorites. But yeah, I haven't watched all of them, especially because some of them it's hard to find English translations for, and that makes it difficult for me since I don't know any of the Chinese. I've had people try and live translate for me before, but it just doesn't go very well because they have, I don't know, it's more explaining than live translation, and I struggle with that sometimes. But if you've never watched Wuliang and you like the dame sphere, I recommend watching Wuliang. And it's a little bit hard to find, and it's only about 45 minutes, and most people are going to tell you it's not dame, but in my heart, it's dame. In my heart. Yeah, it's hard to find good translations all the time. That's why I'm going to study it in college. So true. So true. Yeah, if I had the time and I had the patience, I think I would try and learn Chinese, but Japanese is already taking my time and my patience, and so that's probably not going to happen. But that's okay. I don't need to know all the languages, I just need to know some of the languages, and then that's good enough. It sorts itself out. I think generally I find I enjoy Chinese dramas a lot. It's just when there's like translation problems that I really struggle. But Wuliang's good. It's like 45 minutes. It's just like a little movie rather than like a whole series. I liked the couple. My other friend did not like the couple. We had differing opinions. It was a drama. She might tell you that it wasn't dame. I'm going to tell you it was dame. It's fine. It all works out. And so I think in the end, yeah, it's good. I think we're going to have definitely another stream where I'm ranting about this again at some point in the future, because it is something I think and talk about a lot. But for now, I think this is going to be the end of the stream today. If you have joined us all the way to this part of the video or of the VOD, I hope that you like, comment, and or subscribe. I would be thrilled to see you in a stream chat someday. Come say hi. And until then, have a great day.